Hi, and welcome to this week's Tales from the Infrared. We seem to be missing a lot of people this week. Hopefully several will join us. Right now, it's me, Jim Calvarn. And with me this week is Moemoto Usagi.
Oh, hi.
Ohio. Anyway, and we also have Catrice McLeod.
Hey, well, at least only the important people are here.
Shh, don't tell anybody. And of course, the most important person running the back room, James Huff.
Hello, everyone.
All right. So, Usagi, guess what? You're going to get voluntold to read the topics for this week.
Okay. Tales from the Infrared stories are, finally, a video game for Africa. Madiba Oliver has created the first ever Cameroon-based video game, Aurion, Legacy of the Kori-Odan. Despite daily power outages, people thinking that it was a scam, and having only $100 to his name. Looking forward to seeing this one come out, and hopefully it does well. Supposed gay conversion scene in Fire Emblem Fates being removed from Western versions. Nintendo is removing a scene from the upcoming Fire Emblem Fates game. This scene is considered controversial due to people thinking it is drugging a girl or a gay conversion. It's a game. Can't people tell the difference between reality and pixels? Then again, maybe not. There was a movie based upon video game called Pixels. Former Mozilla CEO chased off by SJWs announces new internet browser Brave. Brave is a new browser that aims to fix the web. How? By blocking everything except the content you explicitly want. This means no ads, no cookies, nothing that you haven't personally requested from the internet. The exceptions are extremely specific, and the approach is aggressive as the ads themselves. Should this pervy PS4 game be banned? X-rated trailer revealed online. Clickbait ahoy! The Daily Star decides to jump completely overboard and titled this article something in the realm of outright lie. The trailer, if you decide to watch it, is about as X-rated as Mercedes Carrera porno is rated PG-13. Still waiting for someone to have DOXA 3 come out on Xbox. Artist creates Star Wars Episode 7.5, destroys Jar Jar. As Stephen Barron started posting pages on his Twitter of this little story, and it's worth a look, and maybe a chuckle. A new ninth planet may have been detected, scientists say. Some people still remember when Pluto was considered a planet in our solar system. However, a planet has been possibly found to take the ninth spot in our solar system. Currently dubbed Planet 9, if it exists, it has a mass 10 times that of Earth and takes somewhere between 10 and 20,000 years to orbit the Sun. The VR company helping filmmakers put you inside of movies. 8i is making a 3D VR movie possible with their technology. Currently at the Sundance Film Festival, they are showing 4 different experiences to the festival, with Wasteland being the main attraction. Did I sound a news announcer enough for you, everyone?
Keep working on it. You'll get there eventually.
I know. I'm Don Pardo.
All right, so which one do we want to throw at the viewers first?
Anyone?
No preference.
Sorry.
I mean, we're going to cover all of them, right?
Yeah.
Of course we are, but I figure, it might be a good idea to at least have a... Well, let's start off with the whole DOA X3. We've tackled this before. I mean, come on, it's... How silly is it that Dead or Alive Extreme 3 they just... People can't let it come out. Why? What is... What is the point of saying, no, this is not a good game? Come on, if you don't like the game, don't fucking pay for it. It's not like anybody's twisting your arm to buy it.
Well, they're twisting your arm not to buy it.
Well,
Because
see, that's
boobies.
I was going to say, that's the hypocrisy right there, is they're not twisting your arm to buy it, but people are twisting my arm to say I can't play it. I mean, there, right there is a bit of hypocrisy that just pisses me off in and of itself, because,
Isn't that why the ESRB was originally developed? They can just put an MA rating on it, and they'll sway kids away from it.
well, that's the problem. Is it's not really even mature audiences. It's at worst it's PG-13. You don't even see any boobs. Come on.
No, but
It's girls in swimsuits. This is not mature audience content. This is at most teen.
Yeah, you know that.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous, though. It's like they want to say that, like, women are apparently evil, and even looking at them is terrible, it seems. It's like some girls actually like having, attractive models in games. I mean, they've done enough studies and found out that women will tend to play attractive women in games when they're given the opportunity to do so, so I don't see the problem.
Well, here's something I've seen over the years: is everybody likes attractive people. Let's look at our star culture in the U.S. Everybody is so enamored with the fucking stars because they're attractive people. They're rich, they're famous, they're attractive. They have all the things that people tend to push towards in their life. Why, I don't know. Don't ask me. I've never understood a lot of it, but this seems to be what everybody wants, is to be attractive and have money and power and influence, and yet we can't enjoy people who are attractive, and it just does not compute. Please, somebody, please explain it if you can.
Jealousy. Most likely jealousy.
I don't know.
Let's see what the people who are really complaining about. They're not the healthiest to begin with. They absolutely hate the fact that people are actually using their time to play these type of games just because they want to have some fun. They'd rather have them pay attention to other things, like, I don't know.
Okay, I guess there
Superby.
is the Planet Fitness crowd, but then we have, like, actors like Rick Moranis. He's not exactly the best looking, but he's still an awesome actor. So
yeah, but he's not known for his. He wasn't famous for his attractiveness. Like, let's take a movie as his Street to Fire, like Michael Pare or Diane Lane was in those movies. He was known for the geek and the guy who actually was more of a down-to-earth type person.
Well, yeah, but let's look at Rick Moranis. What is he really known for? He's known for his role in Ghostbusters.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
And the aforementioned Streets of Fire. Spaceballs.
Spaceballs. He's also, if you're more of a movie geek like I am, My Blue Heaven.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah. Steve Martin.
Yeah.
Another one, Streets of Fire, actually one of the first cyberpunk movies because it had the rocker boys and rocker girls and the biker gangs in it.
And his part as Seymour in Little Shop of Horrors.
beat me.
I mean, but if you really think about it, how famous is he really? Versus, say, someone like Steve Martin, who was a little bit more classically handsome, Chevy Chase.
Yeah, who definitely had the charm with him.
Yeah, who definitely had the charm. If you look at it, yes, he's a phenomenal actor. He did a great job in the movies he did, but if you put him side by side with with other actors of his time and his genre, he doesn't compare.
He's average to low average comparatively.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, if you want to go back, you've seen Streets of Fire, haven't you?
No, I have not.
Okay.
Haven't.
Haven't. Worth a shot, guys. It's a real cheesy '84 movie. Diane Lane and so on, but you see the gamut of attractive people here, and Rick was kind of in that average to low average person. They also had a guy who played not Bishop, not Hicks. Hicks. He played Hicks in Aliens. I'm brain farting his name.
Oh, Hicks.
Yeah, not Hicks.
Michael Hudson or Hicks?
Hudson.
Okay, Michael Biehn is Hicks, and oh god.
Yeah, I know, right? Bill Paxton.
Yes, Paxton is Hudson.
Yeah, so you see that he's in the same level, slightly less than probably Paxton, comparatively.
Yeah, but if you look, and you start doing the comparison of people in the same genres, in the same time period, the more attractive people tend to do better. And I think that has to do with the fact that we like attractive people. I mean, where's the problem with it? Men are more drawn to attractive women and even attractive men, and we seem to trust them more. We seem to believe them more easily.
It's also true of women. Like, even women are more attracted to attractive women, unless there's, like, direct competition.
Yeah. I mean, and as long as there's no competition, we gravitate towards these attractive people. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that there's a problem with this, but let's also, I'm going to bring up certain semi-attractive people, say Lacey Green and Anita Sarkeesian, and we know that they're generally full of shit, but people still believe them.
Physically, I don't know.
Attractive.
I'd say physically maybe. I don't know if it's just because I'm jaded the fact that Sarkeesian's actually gained some weight there.
Okay, let's go back a few years when she actually had some looks.
Maybe,
never really liked her. But
maybe 6, 7, 6.
Yeah, but you see what I'm saying is the higher up on that scale a woman is, it seems like the more people are willing to sit there and say, okay, yes, I'll listen and believe. Let me think. I hate to borrow from anybody else, but it really does look like a lot of the belief that's being pushed is, women should be listened to and believed because they're women, and it's like pushing women to the forefront of what's attractive. It's not always attractive. I mean, come on. Let's look out there. How many people have seen Jabba the Hutt walking around in daily life?
Well, no. Well, nothing that.
Oh, come on! You have seen men and women that look like that.
Yeah.
I haven't been in a Walmart in a while.
Still,
yeah.
But you see what I'm saying is that the whole point of it is what's attractive is attractive for a reason. And just looking at it as, okay, that's attractive, cool, that's great.
It's the epitome of health. It's the healthy look it's the health that we're looking for, and this is where I have a thing with social justice warriors thinking fat is beautiful. No, it's not. It's not conducive to being naturally healthy.
I think there's also, to a degree, what Karen tends to go on about is the neoteny, like the childlike appearance. Like, people tend to believe children more likely because they think they're less likely to lie, even though if you've ever dealt with children, that's absolute bullshit.
I was a kid at one point. I lied more as a kid than I ever did as an adult. I lied more in a year as a kid than I have in the last 20 years as an adult.
Well, I don't feel so old anymore.
Yeah, fuck you too.
Okay, you two youngins just shut the heck up, okay?
But you get my point. It's this belief that we're natural. This belief that we're naturally good. It's just kind of bullshit. But we're getting off topic. The whole point of this is there's nothing wrong with beautiful women in a video game. There's nothing wrong, or beautiful men. I listen to some people on. I listen to people on both sides, and I hear people sitting there talking about how we shouldn't objectify men. It's like, we've been objectifying men the whole time. We've been objectifying women the whole time. Why?
One is just more socially acceptable.
Well, regardless of whether it's socially acceptable or not, we need to just look at it and say, why is this really a problem? I personally, and I'm going to kind of go off on a tangent here, I personally want to point out how wrong the whole objectification thing is as far as the actual argument. And here's my point on that in order for it to even be considered logical, you have to completely set aside the idea that either person in an interaction is still a person. Okay, pixels are objects. They're on a TV screen. That I can say, okay, that's an object, whatever. But when it comes to actual interaction with human beings, there is no subject-object dichotomy.
There are some people who do actually take it to extremes, like where, for example, like there will actually occasionally be somebody who'll be like, a woman will do something like, say, I don't know, earn a Nobel Prize or something, and they'll completely ignore all of her accomplishments and only care about her appearance. And I mean, that is kind of dickish, but at the same time, it's like she still wants to have people enjoy her for her beauty as well. Like, to a degree, we want to be objectified. If people don't like you for your appearance, if they don't fawn over you for that, you actually start to miss it. So we do actually want to be objectified to a degree. We just don't want it to be 100% all the time. That's the only thing we are, kind of thing.
Well, I would argue that because look at cheerleaders. I hate to say it, but I've met a few dozen cheerleaders over the years that aren't that intelligent. It seems like their beauty's the only thing they have.
Well, there are people that are like that as well, where they literally are vacuous. That is their only skill. They might have had additional potential, but when you realize that you can get by on beauty alone, a lot of people just put all their eggs in the one basket and just run with it, because a lot of the time it works.
Well, it works for the short term.
I don't know, there's some people that get away with it for the long term. Like, there are still actors and actresses that are like in their like 80s that still look pretty good.
Yeah, but the physical ooh la la, I would like to bang her like nail her like an Amish barn tends to fade after a while.
Well, there's not only that. It's if you're going to get into older actors and actresses that are still fairly popular, they're getting by on not just their looks. They're getting by on their ability to act, too.
Yes.
Or Morgan Freeman's voice.
Yeah, well, Morgan Freeman is God. That's all you need to say.
Pretty much.
Yeah, so how about this? Let's move on to the Fire Emblem.
Yeah, here's hypocrisy right here, ladies and gentlemen. You don't want us to look at tits, and you don't want to support the gay movement because it's a cute anime chick.
She's doing the exact same thing, though. It's like she's like her whole premise in that is that she's oogling the girls, and that's like the whole reason they had an issue with it in the first place. It's just weird that we have like one article where it's like, oh well, you're not allowed to have like attractive women because it's bad, and then you have the next one where it's like, how dare you not allow her to look at attractive women? And it's like, aren't those contradictory statements?
Yeah, but I also see the drugging gay conversion. It's like they're trying to seduce her when she doesn't need that much seduction. She just needs a nudge. They think, it looks like it was trying to be a pharmaceutical thing, trying to drug her to be a gay person.
No, that's not it at all. That's like nothing at all about like what was actually up with it. Like, okay, like the character basically like, okay, easiest way is to describe other characters that are already like this. Like Sanji in One Piece, or like Laharl in Disgaea. Basically both have the exact same issue. When they get into close range of an attractive woman, they basically freak out and they're completely unable to control themselves anymore. And Sanji has kind of gotten his ass handed to him quite a few times by he could not fight. He couldn't fight them. He'd just freak out. He'd fawn over them, and they basically hand his ass to him. And the thing is, they've never learned. This is a character that she's like, oh, well, I'm trying to become a stronger, more independent character. I'm trying to be like a powerful woman, like a respected fighter, and yet any time like somebody cute shows up, I just like break down. I am completely helpless and at the mercy of my emotions. I can't do anything at all. And she actually goes out and asks for help. And there wasn't anything rapey about it at all. Like, the only real reason that they did this at all was with the powder, so that she reverses what she sees as men and women, is so they'd have an excuse so that the main characters could cross-dress, which is pretty common in Japanese stuff. Like, I don't know, pretty much like every anime ever, and like, I don't know, a really common one is Cloud, Final Fantasy VII. He ended up cross-dressing even, and they made a big deal out of it. And it's like, it's something that just, they play for laughs in Japan. It's a really common trope there.
Well, there's also the fact that there's female fans of just about everything out there. And a lot of the female fans do what's known as crossplay. They take the male character and they turn them female and make a hot and sexy version of it.
No,
but getting back to
females who are doing that, not...
Yeah.
You've never seen the male Sailor Moon, have you?
Thankfully, no. Please, not an image I needed in my mind. Thank you. But also, getting back to the character, from the way it's described, this character acts like any of the male characters in Naruto when confronted with Naruto's sexy jutsu. Okay, it's like freaking nosebleed flying off 5 miles.
Playing a stereotypical male character, like they just role reversaled her is all. If this was a male character, or if she was fawning over guys, nobody would have a problem with it.
They'd probably still start screaming, "Objectification! Objectification!"
Yeah, but she's the one who's objectifying other people. She even hits on her own mother and tries to get her mother to go out on a date with her. Like, she seriously has a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at some point you got to look at it and say, okay, there is a problem. You need to take steps to handle said problem.
Which is exactly what she was doing. She was actually asking for help. She was like, I know this is an issue. I need some way to fix it. And
which, honestly...
Sorry.
Okay, I got to point this out, which honestly, to me, sounds like somebody who's fairly self-aware and is capable of saying, hey, look, I do need help. Please help me. I don't know how to do this on my own. It's like...
Which is a good trait. This is probably one of the best cases I've ever seen of the trope being used in a... Well, it's done in a sort of comedic fashion, but it's actually done fairly seriously too. Like, they actually put effort into doing a good job of it, and they're still bitching about it.
And this is where I have a problem. I mean, this is a well done idea. This is phenomenal, in my opinion. I would love to see this. Just off of this alone, I'd be like, yeah, I'm all for buying this. I would love to see this. Now we're not going to get to see this, as far as I know.
Or they're going to change it or do something to it.
Not unless you get the Japanese discs.
Play Asia.
I don't know. Like, it wasn't done in like a bad version of it. Like, I specifically for this show, I went through, watched like a playthrough of it where they were translating everything in real time, and it wasn't really bad at all. I mean, yeah, the main character technically did drug her without telling her until he specifically mentioned it and apologized for doing so, and she thought it was kind of cute and funny. And then she went out and fought a bunch of bandits because they were all looking like cute girls, and she thought it was fucking hilarious.
Well, there's also that point. She thought it was cute and funny.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that also kind of bothers me, is how the SJW mindset always seems to dictate what women should think. It's like, you should think this, you should behave this way, you should have this emotion, and if you don't, then you're doing it wrong. And it's like, you're kind of the sexist bigot here. Like, you don't respect anything the women are actually doing.
They're trying to enforce the herd mentality on people who don't want to be part of the herd.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Well, my philosophy in life is actually fairly simple, and it comes from something I heard and read about when I was checking into the pagan religion, which goes something like this: and if it harm none, do as you will. Basically, the easiest way to describe it is, keep your nose out of other people's business. Live your own life however you want. You go do your thing. You're more than welcome to. Stop telling other people how to live.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm on board with that. The trouble is that they've let these people who are apparently sick in the herd, as it were.
Sick in the herd. I hold on. I just got to ask this. Was that intentional, or was that just kind of a Freudian slip?
Freudian slip. Because the idea is that these people probably aren't part of the herd. Most of the herd disagrees with a lot of these social justice warriors, but they're so vocal and whiny. The herd just wants to shut them up, and fine, we'll go along with it.
It's like doesn't work, though.
Yeah, it doesn't. That's the thing.
Like, anytime you give them anything, they just whine louder because, hey, whining works.
Exactly. That's why we just need to shout them down and prove that they are wrong.
Well, I think we need to do a little bit more. We need to actually speak up and say, shut up.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. Shut up, and this is why you should shut up.
Yeah.
I'm okay with them having something to say. I mean, if they want to whine, go ahead and whine. Just don't expect anybody to care that you're whining. And don't throw a tantrum if they don't.
Yeah. Oh, and then in that vein, don't be surprised if someone calls you out that you're being a whiny little bitch. You put it out there, you're going to get targeted. Deal with it.
I also find that to be really weird, how basically they tend to throw public temper tantrums and then feel justified in doing so. It's like, this is really childish. Oh, sorry, I was being ageist.
Well, no, I'm not gonna say you were being ageist. I will, however.
Well, I don't want to offend all the poor pedophiles out there, right?
Yeah, I have no problem with offending people. In fact, I think we need to offend more people.
If we have to quote Terrence Bopp, if we haven't offended you, we'll try harder.
Pretty much.
Yep.
And speaking of being offensive, let's offend some SJWs with throwing support behind Cameroon's first ever video game.
This looks. I'm not a modern gamer myself. Like I said, I'm an old school gamer. But damn, this looks good. I actually would want to. I've actually watched this for the history because that's a nice thing to bring up history of African cultures. I really like this. This looks good.
Yeah, and that's. I've been looking it over since I found the article, and I'm just like, wow. Yeah. It's not only is the art in it just phenomenal.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's kind of Final Fantasy VII reminiscent, but you know
it looks like it has some French influences, considering that they were in Africa for a while. The new version of the Mysterious Cities of Gold has similar cues, as it were.
Well, they said one of their biggest advantages was that they were a colony for a while, so they have a lot of multiculturalism to draw on for inspiration. Of course, expect them to get shouted down for stereotyping Africans shortly.
Which is kind of ironic, considering that the entire programming crew is African.
That's not going to stop them.
I know.
Well, see, that's the thing, is it doesn't matter. The perspective of an SJW is so limited and so narrow. They can't see. It's kind of like this. I'm going to bring up the Oscars. Oscars so white. Well, but what about the BET Awards?
Exactly.
I mean, seriously, people, if you're looking at things and you look at the percentages, if 90% of people in something are white, it's not racist if you don't see a black person in there every once in a while.
Has Sidney Poitier actually complained about this whole thing? I have not heard anything out of him. He's like the first African American to win an Oscar.
Yeah, he's probably sitting there just face palming, but anyway.
Yeah, I hope so.
The whole point of it is you don't hear frickin' white people saying, "Oh, well, you know, this game in Africa needs to be more diverse and needs more white people." No, it's frickin' African culture. Everybody there's pretty much black. We expect this. It's almost like normal, rational people just look at it and go, "Oh, well, this is how it would be over there." Okay, that's fine. SJWs look at it like, "Oh my God." It's like, it doesn't represent society. Dude, society changes depending upon the country you're in. You go to Japan, you're not going to see a whole lot of white people represented there.
And if they do see white people there, they're probably going to look at the social justice warrior and go, "Baka Gaijin."
Oh, yeah, usually they do. But the whole thing about it is, you know, if you spend time going around seeing other cultures, you start to realize just the level of how sheltered the SJW really is.
Go ahead.
A lot of them also have the issue that they consider all other cultures valid except North America or the Western culture. It's like, it's okay if there's like a black game where there's 100% black people, but you can't have a white game with 100% white people because white people are evil. And it's like, that's literal racism, like right there.
Yeah, that really is racism right there. Whether you want, no matter how you look at it. that is racist. You can't sit there and say racism is whatever plus power plus 500 other things. You're still being racist. The literal definition is discrimination based upon a race, based upon the color of a person's skin.
Which is kind of silly because there's only the human race, because there's not genetic enough diversity for us to count as more than one race. Like racism.
Well, yeah, but moving beyond that point, which is I think probably the best one I've ever heard, is that there is only the human race, at least as far as we know so far. If you really look, the only difference between a dark-skinned Mexican, a light-skinned Mexican, and a white person and a light-skinned Mexican is generally how much time they spend in the sun. And it's just a slight mutation in melanin for our melanin production to allow for more or less production based upon amount of time spent in the sun. Literally, these people are not looking at the science and saying, really, they're human beings just like me because, oh shit, they're human beings.
There are other differences in that, but not a lot. Like, there are slight differences in, like, the folding of the eyes for Asian people. There's issues like, you're not gonna see a black swimmer ever win any swim competition in the Olympics because their bodies naturally have a higher muscle to fat ratio. They simply sink in water. They spend too much of their energy trying to stay afloat because they don't have enough body fat. There are minor differences like that, but they're so minor they don't really matter.
Well, see, yeah, but if you also look at it, let's look at the same thing. Blacks have a higher muscle to fat ratio, which is why they tend to do very well in running and other sports.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say it.
Specialization difference.
Yeah, that's all it really is. Literally, if you sat there and you, I read one of my favorite book series ever was by a guy named Robert Asprin, and in one book he had a culture where one group of people were either heavily overweight or extremely skinny.
The game.
Yeah, I think you might know what I'm talking about.
Yep. No, which one was it? It was in the Myth series. It was like the
Myth Directions, I believe it was.
Myth Directions? Okay, I'm gonna have to go back and read that again. That was like a really good one.
Oh yeah, but the people of Jacques, there were the normal people of Jacques, the spectators, and then there were the athletes, who were pretty much built like brick fucking walls.
Yeah, it was basically an entirely different species almost.
Yeah, literally. And over the course of like many generations, if you sit there and you separate a group of people, you have a group of people just sitting around doing nothing, they'll tend to look like that. They'll tend to be a little bit large. And then if you have a group of people that all they do is spend their time working out, staying fit, and whatnot, you will notice that one group tends to have a predisposition towards being large and overweight. The other group tends to have a predisposition towards being physically fit. This is nothing more than just genetics.
Yeah,
and breeding genetics based upon desired traits.
Yeah, just to kind of wrap it all in, though, here, folks, just to bring us back onto track here. It is a human race. I mean, the definition of a species is the ability to produce viable offspring when you intertwine the two. And we've been producing viable offspring between our other ethnicities since time immemorial, since we actually met each other. So it's a moot point that they're separate specializations, but there is one race. I mean, you're not going to go up against a bonobo and have a viable offspring.
Hopefully. I don't know.
Yeah.
Some people might.
Yeah, but kind of rein it all in. We're one species, folks, the human race. Let's deal with it.
Yeah, well, it's okay for us to, like, have differences, too. Like, we can celebrate the fact that we have differences, but don't get hung up on the fact that there are differences. It's like I think it was like a movie that was titled, like, White Men Can't Jump, and it's like, well, that's just kind of being an ass about it. It's like,
Well,
why not emphasize that, okay, you can jump, they can swim. Okay, now everybody's happy. What the fuck?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know what? I think we need to give some SJWs some hope. You know, they're finally going to get their own browser, their own web browser.
Oh yes, that one.
Which is funny considering how it's from.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
I want to point this out. I don't know if anybody else catches this irony. First off, this guy was frickin' fired from Firefox, a company
Mozilla, yeah.
Yeah, considering he frickin' pretty much helped to found that company, he got fired from it. Now he's creating a browser for people who can't deal with things they don't like seeing.
Yeah.
Like we need to pigeonhole the ivory tower SJWs as they are.
Though it is a little bit more complex than what they've said in the news and stuff. They're like, oh yeah, he got fired because he spent a whole $1,000 towards supporting a bill to make gay marriage illegal in one state. And it's like, well, it's not actually why they fired him. That's just the excuse they used. Like, basically he was upset because they kept trying to push Firefox to turn it into a data mining program for like the NSA and stuff, and he was like, no, we will not be doing that. And they needed an excuse to get rid of him, so they took it. The thing is, he's now building a web browser which is designed specifically to avoid doing the same things that he tried to have Firefox avoid doing. So he's basically doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, but I gotta point this out. I mean, you've got a guy who's doing what he's always done. I mean, I hate to say it. People have their own beliefs. People are allowed to have their own beliefs. Shock and horror, you know.
Oh noes, oh noes.
Yeah, I mean, you know, people can disagree with you. Oh my God.
They should be able to disagree with you. If they don't disagree with you, then you can never really learn anything, and you're never forced to actually think about your own positions. Like, I'm sure he'd probably hate me because I'm bisexual. Guess what? Don't really care. I mean, he can hate me all he wants. I think it's actually kind of creepy that people are trying to force the matter, to force him to like somebody else. And it's like, no, that's just kind of really disturbing that you're trying to enforce thought control.
I got nothing. She just basically she just basically took every word out of my mouth that I needed to say on that one.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No.
I forgot you're the man who knows how to be stupid.
No, like I was gonna say, it's like I actually appreciate when people can actually just take what I want to say and say it for me. It's like, hey, you know what? You just said it for me. I'm good. I agree with you. We're perfect.
I think I heard Kat chuckle about, looks like she really did get our tongues.
No comment.
No, but I would do this for the ad blocking myself, but I'm just waiting for it to come out.
Let's see. It just launched the 0.7 version.
Okay. No, no, I can't see the SJWs actually using it, though, for a couple of reasons. One, designed by a guy. Two, I suspect the setup for the blocking protocols is going to be rather complex, and oh my god, math is evil to these people.
Well, it says in the last statement, very soon all but required ad blocking browser enhancements may be rendered obsolete by this altogether new browsing experience.
Yeah. So the ad people are going to go after this guy like a vengeance.
Oh yeah.
He actually does have ads integrated into the browser. It's just he has it set up so that it's like they only show up in set locations and they'll only play so many ads, and it disables like pop-up windows and stuff like that. They're still ads, they're just not like crammed down your throat every 5 seconds and take up 95% of your browser space.
Which is generally something most people dislike anyway.
Yeah, like if you see like a whole page that's like 90% ads and like 10% like a little tiny little strip of text, you're not going to look at any of the ads anyway, so it's probably better that way overall.
Okay, moving on. We're just blowing through it. We need other people here.
Yeah.
Yeah, people who disagree, because disagreeing is just like
Yeah,
getting
this is the trouble here. Trouble here with being on with the brother from another set of family. We tend to agree on quite a bit of things, but little we can't disagree on, we tend to go, heh. So that's just our intrapersonal variation.
Yeah, and you know, I think the world would be a better place if we just sat there and occasionally said, well, okay, you don't agree, that's cool.
Yeah, but it's not very interesting radio. We need a really good fight.
James, do you disagree with anything? I'll take that as a no.
Okay.
Well,
No,
then,
no,
you know,
no. We look. We're talking about a lot of these subjects, and we're looking at it through a particular lens. And we would like some dissenting opinion from time to time, folks. This is what the comments section is for, and this is what the chat is for. If you have a dissenting opinion, by all means, go ahead and throw it in. Try to keep it a reasoned argument. Thank you very much. And we'll have these guys take a look at what you all are writing and comment on it.
I'm okay with that. You know, I would happily invite someone like Liana Kay on here to give her opinion if she wanted to join in and say, hey, I totally disagree with you and here's why. Hey, it's called a discussion. I'm okay with discussions. I love having them. I learn lots of stuff from them. But anyway, since we don't have a dissenting opinion right now, let's look at it. Let's look at something everybody can agree on: that Jar Jar Binks needed to die.
Abso-frackin-lutely. Hallelujah, praise the Force.
I can disagree in the fact that they needed to make it more graphic.
Yeah, but that would have given the people involved a dark side point. And I really don't want them to get dark side points just for doing us public good.
It totally would have been worth it. I mean, like,
Yeah, but there's always that chance you would roll the 1. And I'm sorry, you are now a Sith.
Here's the question I have. Is it really getting a dark side point for doing a public service?
Well, it's the viciousness of which you go after it, is what the Jedi Code was. For those of you who are listening, yes, I am going back to the West End Games rules, where you roll a 1d6 every time you gain a dark side point, and if you roll under your dark side point total, You're a darksider.
Yeah, that's a horrible, horrible way of doing it. But
Yeah, but you must carry out the justice because it is justice, not because of revenge or have the emotion in it that would lead you to do it miserably.
Well, see, the problem with it is, and I was just watching Naruto Shippuden, specifically the pain fight, and they're talking about, justice, and at what point is justice and revenge two totally different things, and it gets rather interesting in the conversation.
Yeah, but that's the fine gray line that the Jedi have to walk.
Yeah, but that's the thing is, it's not justice if you're seeking revenge. And that's the thing is, when you start seeking revenge, you continue to seek revenge. Revenge is a never-ending search for self-destruction.
which I think is also something that has to be kept in mind for those who want, like, extended prison sentences, where it's like, I want him to rot for, like, the rest of eternity for this, and it's like, that isn't necessarily going to fix anything. Like, the whole point really should be, are we trying to rehabilitate them? Like, if we're just punishing people because we want to feel good, like, just hearing that he's in jail for 20 years instead of 15, like, that's 5 years somebody's life screwed up, but all it is 5 years that you're going to forget about in, like, half an hour, and it's not going to really affect your day-to-day life any. It's not going to make you feel better or anything. So, like, it has to be for justice. It has to be because they think that 20 years will actually be more effective for reforming somebody than 15 will. If neither of them are going to reform them, then you shouldn't get out regardless of the crime, kind of thing, though. At least that's my thought on it.
Wait a minute. Let me see if I'm catching what you're saying. Is put a criminal away until they learn how to reform.
More or less. Like, there's no point in, like, keeping somebody that's already learned their freaking lesson for, like, an extra decade. It's a total waste of time. On the other hand, if you release somebody who hasn't learned their lesson, then what have you accomplished? You're just waiting for them to commit something to come right back in again in, like, 2 weeks.
This is where we get into, do we want to rehabilitate the criminal, or do we want to protect society, or the juggle between the two?
Wow, who would have thought we'd get into something that deep when talking about the death of Jar Jar Binks?
Well,
yeah, I'm not going to say that this isn't, like, phenomenal. I would love to continue on with this because these are the types of conversations I love having with people. But we were talking about it's like
the death of Jar Jar Binks. Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Okay. Hold on. Topic we were starting on, way over here. Topic we were hitting on somewhere further than left field bleachers. This is beyond the left field parking lot.
Oh, come on. It was totally in left field. It was just in a different ballpark was all.
No. This is where we get the discussion, because did Jar Jar have to die? Why did he have to die? Is it revenge to kill him quickly? Is it revenge to kill him, or is it justice to kill him quickly versus killing him slowly to let him know the depth of his mistake? Once he's dead, he's done.
No, he's not. He turns into a ghost in the next panel. Then
everybody
just
everyone.
And then he gets snubbed by everyone. That's true.
Yeah. So he's being punished in the afterlife as well, if you believe that sort of thing.
I thought it was funny. I thought that was
hilarious.
Yeah, but how did he become a Force Ghost? I thought it was like only the most powerful were able to figure out how to do this. And Jar Jar Force Ghost, really?
Well, he has had 30 years. Even a monkey, it's not in the realm of the monkey typing out a Shakespearean play on a keyboard if he had at it for X amount of time. Eventually, you might hit the right mark.
I have to add something to this conversation. There's a conspiracy theory running around that Jar Jar Binks was a Sith Lord from the very beginning. That Emperor Palpatine was put in power, in fact, by Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, but the thing is, he never, in this comic, he never redeemed himself like Anakin did by coming back to light by saving his son from being tortured by the Emperor. There's no redemption for Jar Jar Binks.
No, there isn't. I'm just saying that the rule of twos.
Okay.
Master and apprentice did not appear to be followed in the conspiracy theory, but as it runs, Jar Jar was actually the puppet master.
Okay.
Well, you could argue that none of Palpatine's apprentices were actual Sith. They were, like, he went through them pretty quickly. He had a couple at the same time. He was throwing them out like, I don't know, candy, I guess. He got rid of them pretty quickly.
Well, no, they died like red shirts in Star Trek.
Pretty much. All things considered, I mean, they didn't really seem to do much. It's like, what did Darth Maul do? He had like one line and then he got chopped in half and turned into a cyborg, which is apparently one of the few things that are considered canon still.
What?
Yeah, totally. He survived the getting cut in half thing, and like somebody revived him, turned him into like a cyborg, and then he ended up getting killed again. Also, he had a brother.
Darth Maul and Darth Rend?
I don't think his brother was a Sith Lord or anything. I don't know. I haven't actually seen it myself, but supposedly that's what it is.
Oh yeah, Disney retconning half of everything and saying this works, this doesn't. Please, God.
Yeah, it seemed like a lot of that though was just they were removing all the plots that they were going to steal.
I think it was more a case of they removed all the plots that they were stealing parts of, and removed anything that would contradict the plots they wanted to put in.
Which isn't entirely unreasonable, but it's kind of frustrating that the plots they wanted to put in removed so much. It generally shows that you have writers that aren't capable of working within the limitations of what already exists. They can't build upon it. They're limited to creating something without previous ties.
Yeah, well, don't get me started on Disney and the extended Star Wars universe. I'm still sore about that, and I don't think I can.
We'll get to it when we get to it here in another episode or two.
Yeah, speaking of which, I've been following all this hoo-ha on Star Wars. I know it's 90% off topic, but it's not. But it's still Star Wars. I've been watching people sit there and complain about how Star Wars this new Star Wars is great and whatnot, but complaining about how there's no Rey figures and stuff like that. And I do a little bit of research, and I find that there's a ton of Rey figures out there. In fact, Sunday, for those of you who don't know, is Rey Day at Disneyland. Please show up at Disneyland and Disney World dressed as Rey from Star Wars and complain about how Rey isn't in the merchandising.
She is much more of a draw as an individual character, hence they cluster the rest of the group there and they make you spend extra for the one that you want, which has been standard in every toy franchise since the beginning of toys.
I want to point something else out. I've done a little bit of research. I've spent a little bit of time on the internet. You know, I've done something. I've done something most SJWs don't, which is actually look into things.
Uh-huh.
And I found that Ray is out there. There's a lot of Ray stuff out there. It's just getting bought up and resold.
Of course.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Someone is actually doing something smart, like buying up the Ray toys and reselling them to these idiots who are so upset about no Ray toys.
Well,
at double the price.
Of course.
Of course, it's going to be worth more after she turns dark side. She totally has. I hope so much that she does, because if she doesn't, it's going to be a terrible character. She has the potential to be a good one, but only by being evil.
I will hold judge. I will wait and have the surprise butt sex when everything else happens here. I want to see how this develops. We've got the one data point, and I don't have enough to go off on to see how this is going. It's not like it's obvious, like I see tentacles and I've watched enough hentai where to know where this is going type situation for me.
Right. Okay. For those of you who haven't seen it, please speak up now and then shut your ears. James, if you haven't seen it, please let me know. Because I'm about to spoil some shit.
I've seen it, and I think it's been long enough that anyone who can call themselves a real fan probably would have seen it by now. So I think we're safe.
Okay.
So, spoiler alert. Yep.
Okay. Having said all that, first off, if you watch through it, you notice a lot of similarities to the original Star Wars. If you really look at it, it's nothing more than a rehash of the old Star Wars with some of the best bits from the original Star Wars, but not actually put in a very cohesive order. So as a story, it lacks quite a bit. As a character, Rey lacks quite a bit because almost all of her lines are basically taken from other characters in one of the other 6 movies.
Yeah, I think
one of the lines that I got to get through this real quick, Kat. One of the lines that people are sitting there saying, "Oh well, you know, this is proof she's not a Mary Sue." She takes the circuit that's been screwing with the Millennium Falcon out and talks about how she bypassed it. Let's go back to Empire Strikes Back. Right after the Han and Leia kiss, C-3PO comes in and is like, "I've isolated the reverse power flux coupling," which was one of the problems with the Millennium Falcon.
Greatest
let me
cock
think.
block ever.
Yeah, greatest cock block ever. But still, that's my point. Everything involving Rey has been taken from all the best parts of every other character in Star Wars, but not done right.
And in every case, she always does better. She one-ups all of them. She's a better co-pilot than Chewie. She's a better pilot than Han Solo. She's a better lightsaber duelist than Luke. She's better at using the mind control suggestion than Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like, every single thing she does better than the previous people with minimal or no training at all.
But look, the only thing she was lacking was doing it backwards and in high heels. So, yeah, look.
She does have potential.
Mary Sue all the way, really.
Yeah, ironically, the feminists, I've seen a lot of feminists hate about her, too, as well.
Really?
Yeah.
What did they hate about her? Like,
that she's young, attractive, and she actually knows something about science when most of these social justice warriors wouldn't even know what to do with a calculator.
come on, that's like the one good thing I actually liked about her was that in her backstory, it actually made sense for one thing that she actually understood Empire technology and how it worked because she had to scavenge it to sell it.
Yeah.
That was the only part that made sense.
Oh,
And
I've
that's
seen
the complaint.
I've seen a few bits of things that I keep a list of feminists on certain social media things just to keep my pulse on what they're thinking of, and there's still a significant amount of hate about her coming out. I'm actually looking forward to seeing her. There's actually one that's pointing out where Luke goes at the end of the show there that Luke goes, "I will teach you to be a Jedi," and he hops on her back like Yoda did with him in Empire. And she's carrying around this old Jedi Knight on her back that's probably heavier than she is, and dying heavily.
Yeah, but that is one of the things that's currently an issue, is that she doesn't have any training. Like, Luke couldn't do anything until he was walked through it. Like, he went through, like, large training exercises because he didn't know how to do anything.
Yeah.
And he was taught by, like, Yoda, like, the best of the Jedi Masters, personally taught for months.
Yeah.
And he could barely, like, hold his own. He was never, like, a full Jedi Knight. Like, he called himself one, but he never truly attained it because he simply wasn't on par with, like, any of the old Republic's versions of Jedi, because he simply didn't have, like, 2 decades worth of training from, like, when he was, like, a 3-year-old.
Yeah. The other thing that the complaint I have with the movie is what is Kylo's motivation? Why did he fall? I mean, the one thing we learned is why Anakin fell in the prequels. Because done without some of the annoying side characters, we show why he became Darth Vader. It was out of love. We don't have any of that motivation yet.
We sort of do, though. Like, everything about Kylo shows that he's very obsessive compulsive. He wants to be the absolute best. He's, like, going at it at a fanatical level because he's, like, trying to live up to Vader's legacy. Like, he's
but how did he find out about Vader's legacy? He should have been living more. If he was anything, he should have been living up to be better than Luke.
I've actually got a question.
Huh.
It's actually much more important than that. It's not about how he found out about Vader. It's more a case of the thing that's always bugged me since I watched it is there's too much Vader in him. Okay, there's no Vader in Luke. There's no Vader in Leia. Vader was nothing more than Anakin. It's like he was destined to become this horrible person.
Yeah, that's the thing here. I mean, we all knew in the original trilogy he was a bad guy, but we found out in like the second and third movies that how Vader fell. But we haven't seen why Kylo has fallen to the dark side. What made him fall?
Really excessively, like, everything about him shows that he's really excessively competitive. He gets really emotional. He throws tantrums when he is not the best at anything.
Well, hold on. I don't even think that's true there. I think he's just. If you watch, is he really that competitive? There's nothing wrong with getting angry at losing. I mean, it helps you to get better.
But in his case, he takes it to extreme values. Like, he doesn't just get angry that he lost and he's like, okay, well, I'm going to do better next time. He throws a fit and he's going to get revenge and prevent them from doing better, and then he's going to get himself better by turning even more dark side, because obviously that'll fix the problem. Like, that is
toxic masculinity right there. That's all it is.
Well, even when he's talking to, like, Vader helmet, he's like, what am I doing wrong? Why am I not dark side enough. Like, you're supposed to show me, like, the power of the dark side. Like, that's the whole point, is that it's so much stronger, and that's what's so powerful about it. So I want to be more dark side because that means more power. Like, that's basically his entire, like, monologue.
Yeah, I just let's look at the Kylo Ren character. I mean, he falls to the dark side. Why?
There's no background.
I don't think they really put any more thought into it other than he just wants power fast and easy. He wants to be the strongest, and he has a really big legacy to live up to.
I haven't even seen that. All I've seen is he wants to finish what Vader started. Vader didn't start anything. The Emperor did.
Yeah, I don't know, like, what they're describing, though. Like, Rey knows all about, like, the stuff about, like, Luke and everything, because apparently there are a lot of stories going around about it. So, did he actually get an accurate history lesson from his parents who lived through it? Or are they just, well, it's Han Solo. He's been known to exaggerate.
Once you get into the electrical chest, electrical torture thing, I don't think he would be exaggerating that terribly much anymore.
True. Well, here's the thing, though. I mean, it's even pointed out in numerous takedowns of Star Wars and where people just go through and analyze everything about Star Wars. The Empire is known for more the psychological terror.
Yeah. The station wasn't meant as a deterrent. It was meant as a fear thing.
Yeah, everything about the Empire is more about psychological terror. The interrogation droid, you see the needle right there. You see the stuff that you're supposed to be afraid of right there. When they're torturing Han, you can see the heat off the torture device. You can see this arcing and sparking between the things. It's more about scaring people into compliance. With Kylo Ren, it's I'm gonna do it, and I'm just gonna do it for reasons. Yeah. There's nothing scary about him.
He's completely inexperienced. It doesn't seem like he really knows what he's doing. Like, that seems to be part of the character, is that they're adding in, like, a new generation that's supposed to follow up the old one, except in his case, he hasn't really learned anything from the past at all. Like, especially not from, like, his grandfather who turned away from the dark side. He obviously didn't learn that lesson. I don't know how much he didn't learn, but he basically seems kind of...
We have no motivation for him aside from reasons.
Yeah.
That's the thing. What made him fall? What made him do this? I mean, we find out why, at least alluded to in Empire and Jedi.
Those were also the 5th and 6th, which means they were the 2nd and 3rd, not the 1st. We didn't hear anything about Vader originally.
Okay, yes, but with Vader, he was a badass.
Yeah, this guy reminds me more of Shinji Ikari than someone who is got the will to execute the power and the ability to execute his own will.
Well, keep in mind, Anakin early on wasn't very scary either. He was an even bigger whiner. So all things considered, he has a lot of room to grow. Even, like, Luke was kind of a naive brat at first, and he grew in personality a lot over the next 2 movies. So
fair enough. But I want to tell JJ, because we all know that JJ Abrams listens to the show. He's one of our 3 listeners. Yeah. JJ, when you move on to the next one, please give us some reasons. Please fill in why he fell, what really happened that make it actually believable.
How do I change my icon to a lens flare?
I think you'll have to ask James on that one.
I'm perfectly fine with my bunny and the dragon behind me. You see this dragon? I'll lace it on you, JJ. Trust me.
I need more lens flare in my life.
All right.
But you know what? Let's move on to something actually.
On topic.
No, a little in the same vein, a little almost science fiction-y, but it really is just pure science. And that's the 9th planet in our solar system, possibly.
Basically, they've been trying to prove the existence of something big outside of there since they've theorized about the Oort cloud because there's something out there throwing things our way, and there's this with the mass of 10 Earths that could do it.
Yeah, all things considered, there's been a lot of supposition that there could be 1 to 3 large Earth-size or larger full-scale planets out in the Oort cloud. So, hearing that they might have found one isn't really that surprising.
No, but for the longest time they've been complaining about the fact that the solar system seems unique in the fact that there's only one star in it. So this could be
unique, but it's not that common.
Right. So my guess is that they've been trying to prove Nemesis for the longest time. The Nemesis, for those of you who aren't up on the solar system, is supposedly a hidden star or dwarf star, close to the size of Fusion, but not quite there. That has enough gravitational influence to throw things from the Oort cloud into the inner solar system, where we get comets, meteors, and so on. And they've been trying to prove this for decades, actually.
It doesn't mean it's true, unfortunately. Like, there's probably something out there that's doing it, but we don't know what. Then again, we also don't know what, like, dark matter is, so maybe there's some of that, like, right out in the Oort cloud, and that's somehow affecting it. It could be like a dark planet or something that we can't even detect.
And once again, Kat just says something that completely...
Sorry? Okay, wait, we needed conflict.
Could be an orbiting black hole.
I agree.
Hold on. What was that, James?
Could be an orbiting black hole for all we know.
I would think that one would exhibit a little more sucking action. I wouldn't think they would...
No, black holes actually don't suck. It doesn't work that way.
Okay.
I hear they swallow, but I could be wrong.
But also figure with the distance that it could be out.
It would have to be
and considering the fact it's a black hole, actually finding the thing would be extraordinarily difficult.
X-rays.
Well, it wouldn't be that hard, because normally you find black holes based on the stuff that's surrounding them.
Right.
Like, they're...
assuming it hasn't cleared a path for itself in the Oort field. I mean...
You have a huge open path in the Oort field where there's nothing, it's just an empty space, then that's probably going to be the giveaway right there.
Up until you meet that event horizon,
yeah,
you're perfectly capable of escape.
Yeah. I was thinking about more along the lines of X-ray emission. There would be X-ray emissions from it.
Those X-ray emissions only occur whenever it's feeding.
Yeah, so if it's already cleaned out like a full gap or circle for its orbit, then it won't be producing anything.
What about gravitational lensing?
Once again, you have to be able to detect it, and that gravitational lensing would be even harder to detect than the X-ray bursts from
Yeah, especially
things
if it's a
falling into it.
small planet, like it wouldn't be much lensing, and because it's so close to us,
Well,
it
it was a
wouldn't
black
be a
hole.
huge difference.
It would have such a huge gravity. It would have a larger
Not
gravity load.
necessarily. Like, black holes can be small. They don't necessarily have to be very big. Like, they can actually have, like, relatively low mass. Like, this one that they're looking for right now as a planet would only have about, what was it, like 10 or 100 times the gravity of the Earth?
Yeah.
Like, that's not even, like, a fraction of, like, the sun. That's, like, not even 1%.
Most
So,
black holes range around 11. You have to have a minimum of about 11 solar masses or so to make a black hole in the first place. But we know that these things radiate away over time. We
So
know
this-
that.
yeah, but it's
So-
over a really, really long time. Like, we're talking, like, billions of times longer than
Which
the
would
universe has
explain
existed.
which would actually explain why there's less activity than there was at the time of the dinosaurs, because maybe Hawking radiation has taken away this black hole if it does exist.
Would have had to be really small to start with,
To start
though.
with,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Minimum size.
Yeah, minimum size, but it would be enough to send enough our way to actually populate the Earth with water. Because it's usually dry in the zone here at the beginning.
Well, yeah, but there's comments for that. I don't think that would necessitate that there be a black hole for that.
Well, no, I'm talking about the gravitational effect of a black hole sending the comets our way from the Oort cloud.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, that's possible then, yeah.
So
maybe.
my guess is that if it is a black hole, it's probably its gravitational pull has decayed from Hawking radiation, so that it's actually starting to disappear, which means that
That's still a really small amount. Like, you're looking at absurd lengths of time, like way longer than the age of the universe for that to have any effect. Like, Hawking radiation is really small in value.
Okay.
Like,
Well, I guess we can rule out the black hole then.
Probably. I mean, at least that particular object probably isn't, like... It would be hard to find one, but I think we would have noticed, like, some of the telltale things first. Like, you know, an empty track in, like, the Oort cloud, like, just a hole in it, because it would have, like, an entire ring where there's nothing.
True. So.
We are working under the assumption that we have any real knowledge of the Oort cloud. We have more knowledge of what's going on light years away than we do of our own Oort cloud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when we look at traveling beyond the magnetosphere of the sun, for instance.
And the heliopause now that Voyager's there.
Exactly. We are seeing some very odd readings going on out there, and these things were not predicted 20 years ago. When we had fairly decent predictions, and we're just discovering exoplanets, we knew less about what was going on in our own backyard than we did around many of these other stars. And this is this, I hope, reinvigorates interest in our local area.
Well, it makes sense, too, though. I mean, it's really hard to see something when you're looking out from inside of it. If you look at, like, say, if you're in a house and you're looking out your window at another house, you know what the other house looks like. You don't necessarily know what your own house looks like from the outside while standing inside of it.
Yeah, but I like the fact that we're actually doing some of the exploration, and I think we've definitely been needing to explore our own stuff more instead of looking out into other areas. I don't know. Maybe that some of that comes from science fiction and wanting to meet that alien species, but then again, honestly, what happens if the first alien species we run into is like the xenomorph from Aliens?
Well, it shouldn't be too bad unless it's like the book in the Alien series Earth Hive, where they actually do colonize Earth.
It's much more likely that the first alien species we're going to come across is microbial.
Probably.
Possible.
Oh yeah, I believe that. But what I'm trying to point out is a lot of science fiction is based upon seeing possibilities and looking at where they might go. We could run into other species out there. We could quite conceivably run into other human species out there.
Or we might actually find out once and for all which species Yoda is.
Yes, that's true. We might.
He's the unholy combination between a dwarf and an elf.
Oh, God.
Now that I put that image in your minds.
I always thought more of a halfling and an orc.
I don't know, I like that other one where it was like he was a gremlin. Young he was. Needed the money he did.
He ate after midnight, became green, and then learned the error of his ways.
Speaking of which, I think I saw this somewhere. Originally, what's it in Gremlins? Everybody's cute favorite little Mogwai was actually supposed to be the ringleader, and that just would have scarred too many people for life, so they changed it.
So they made a horror movie less horrific.
Yeah,
Well, actually, I don't know. The perversion of it would have been something else for him. For him to have sat back the whole time and had actually planned, to get water spilled on him and then kind of send off secret messages to all the gremlins as they're terrorizing the town.
So you're saying that he really was the ringleader and he actually did that on purpose?
No, I mean, if they were winning until his involvement, go figure. I'm just saying, I mean, until he fought back, they were doing a good job of messing everything up. What I'm saying is, if they really wanted to make it a horror movie, they could have just had him sitting over in the corner, rubbing his little furry paws, laughing, as the town is destroyed.
True. Wow. Okay, we just went into a really dark place there. Thank you, James, for that.
Yeah, pleasure.
Yeah, I know you twisted individual. That's why we're friends.
I thought that's a common theme in all of us here.
Well, you know what? I think it's time to move on to the last one, even though I could sit there and listen to people talk about space exploration till the end of days.
Okay, one last thing I want to say before we do change topic is I totally agree that Pluto should not be a planet.
Fuck you.
Your mom thought it was big enough.
I don't know, it's like the reason they got rid of it was like, oh, we need 9 planets, like people were saying. And it's like, yeah, do you really want to have to memorize like 50 of them, though?
All I care about is the fact that Uranus is large enough to be a planet.
Ooh.
Oh, but it's not high.
Well, in some
Gassy.
cases... Yeah, I was going to say, in some cases, Uranus is a little too gassy for my tastes.
tastes. Ugh.
No, I'm not tonguing that one. Sorry. Oh, they're gonna hate us so much. They're gonna hate us so much.
Oh yeah, you know we're gonna get the hate mail this week again.
You know you can deal with it.
Oh, I just sit there and tell them thanks for listening.
I just had you get all the good lines.
Yeah.
Well, you were stealing our tongues here. We had to take them back.
All right.
Well, okay. Let's move on to the last thing. It's like apparently we've got a VR company creating 3D movies that you can walk in.
Yay!
You know what? I'm actually going to say something that a lot of people might kind of get upset with. I don't see a point. I don't see any reason to do this. I could see a video game where it's interactive, where that would be phenomenal, but an actual movie.
Yeah, it actually makes it harder to plan out like your scene composition and to show people like what's going on. Like the more freedom you give in what you can see, the less concentrated and less planned out it becomes. You can only like put in stuff that you know that people are going to see, kind of thing. So it's actually kind of detrimental. Like, think of it like the difference between, say, an open world sandbox game and something with an actually heavy plot. Like, the more linear the game is, the more you know of what will happen, what has happened. You can foreshadow stuff easier, stuff like that. As you go into a more sandboxy feel, it's much harder to tell what will happen in what order, and things have to be much more generic, basically. It's like the more freedom you give, like to look around and see what's going on, you can't guarantee that the person's head is going to be looking in the correct direction when something important happens.
But here's what I have to say on that. We often rate our games by replayability. Imagine if we were able to do the same thing with our movies and contain within these movies lighting and nuance that up until this point have never been able to be experienced before. So you're filming in multiple directions at a time. You're providing this this full landscape, and as these people are walking through the movie, they're going to be able to watch it over and over again and pick up new things that you can't convey or express in the movies that we have now.
You can already do a lot of that for the most part now, though. Like, you can already have movies where you have to watch them several times and you notice new things every time because they're just woven into, like, the background and such. If you have, like, I won't disagree that there is the potential to do a lot with it, but it would also be many times more expensive because you have to film, like, 10 times as much, but the viewer isn't going to see 10 times as much. They can only see the same screen area. So they're basically, you're filming like a bunch of stuff that won't be seen.
Won't be seen on the first pass.
Right.
Yeah,
maybe won't be seen on the fifth pass. But the thing is that if you're dealing with the type of CGI that we're capable of now, and damn, it's getting really, really good. And you have these professional productions pushing these 360-degree movies, then you're going to be able to go into this world, and you're going to watch events play through, and you could do it from the angle of simply listening to the events while you watch a blade of grass in this scene, or you could actually be moving around and paying attention to every nuance of the facial expressions that are going on at the same time. So instead of this back, forth type of thing that you see a lot of cameras doing, all of a sudden you're looking at this whole focus and altered focus in the world around you. Maybe you only want to check out the setting itself, the decorations, the way that the stage is set up. Then you can do that, and you can watch the reactions of individual cast, the extras, as an event occurs, in ways that you simply couldn't before.
Yeah. The immersion of flick syncs is what one story once said about it. Bringing in the movie, playing the character you want to, and if you have to, sit back. If your character's not in that scene, sit back and watch the movie, try to get into the rest of the character, and then come back to your character. It was actually mentioned in a book called Ready Player One, which is actually a very nice book here that was recently published.
Yeah, the concept's been around for a while. Like, for example, it's mentioned in Fahrenheit 451, it's mentioned in Shadowrun, a couple of places. For the most part, though, I don't think it would actually aid, like, the storytelling capability in most cases. Like, it would actually limit a lot of the composition and shots, but there are definitely exceptions. Like, if Avatar 2 was shot like that, oh yes.
Yeah,
Well-
no. Yeah, and I can see it also being addictive. Like, if you're going back to Shadowrun, there's always the VTL chips or the SimSense chips that most people get addicted to, and it just they just want to be in it so much they can fry their brain. So there is a trade-off here: being immersed versus being immersed so deeply that you don't want to leave.
That was the same thing in Fahrenheit 451. They wanted, like, rooms where they had a TV on every wall, and they just sat in the middle and completely immersed themselves and had absolutely no idea what was going on about the world around them. Like, they specifically, it wasn't quite like a Big Brother kind of thing. Like, they were just trying to, like, keep them placated, though, so it was kind of similar.
Right.
Well, I want to point something out. And again, I'm going to borrow from science fiction. At what point do we sit there and look at the direction everything's taking? At what point do we look at it and not see that we're moving towards some form of virtual reality?
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
Hold on. I know a lot of people that would sit there and say, yeah, I'm good with that. That's good for me. I'm okay with that. But I want to also sit there and look at the detrimental side to it. And you guys have already brought it up a couple of times. People who would spend so much time in that world. I believe there was a movie with Bruce Willis recently where everybody had a robot body.
I don't think I've seen that.
It's actually pretty good. I've got it on Blu-ray. I thought it was one of the best movies I've seen in a long while. But if we start moving into that, and everybody's robot body is like phenomenal, but what happens to the real body? What happens to the real person? And I've already to some degree seen that in society now. We're getting away from the personal, the human human aspect of things.
Well, we're also getting more into it as well, too. Like, look at us here. Like, I am probably 1,000 miles away from most of you at the moment, and we're having a conversation. We couldn't do this without this exact thing. Like, if you put it more into, like, virtual reality and such, you're gonna have people that, like, long distance relationships are going to become much easier for people that have issues with having to have like physical, tangible touch. Like you're actually going to see like a lot of benefits. Yes, you'll be in a virtual world, but is it really virtual in the parts that matter? Like you were considering it in the sense of people where you lose the human part to it. It's like, are you actually losing the part that's you just because you lose your body?
Well, there's the whole idea that, let's see here. I mean, there's a part that even for all the hate and pain, you can still the real world is where you can find real happiness because it's real. Here's the quote. I'm looking for the quote here right now. It's
Well, you tell me when you found the quote, but I want to point this out. If we sit there and we go into this virtual world, we're going to we'll get simulations, but is it actually fulfilling? I mean, let's look at our we have friendships with people thousands of miles away. How many of these people do we actually talk to? I mean, are these really friendships? The friendships I've developed here, talking with Kat, talking with Usagi, talking with James for hours on end, we've talked. It's not just the occasional text type, hey, how you guys doing, that most people do on Facebook. This is an actual conversations we've had, and we've had similar conversations before.
I've got a little
Go ahead, James.
little setting I want to put to you guys. Average Joe goes to work, works his 8 hours a day, sits in his office or pounds nails all day, and then comes back home. And his home is very, very, very simple. He's got someplace to cook, he's got someplace to wash, someplace to sleep. And what is filling his space are these technological marvels. And what he does is he takes care of his physical body, and he sits down, and he puts on his helmet, and he puts in his nose plug for the smell-o-vision, or whatever you want to call it. He puts on his gloves for tactile sensation, and he jacks in. And he goes somewhere where he's sitting around a table. He could touch the table. He could talk to the other people around the table. He could do all these things that he would normally be required to expend energy and resources beyond just sitting there. And he's capable of interacting with people from all over the world, getting FaceTime with them. Might as well be FaceTime because, look, we are all dark inside our heads. The only thing that tells us that anything is real is the sensory equipment that is on our body.
Huh.
I don't see an issue with that.
I have the quote here, guys.
Okay.
Conversation between two people, actually one person, one virtual reality. Listen, he said, adopting a confidential tone. I need to tell you one last thing before I go. Something I didn't figure out for myself until it was already too late. He led me over to the window and motioned me out motioned out at the landscape stretching out beyond. I created the world here because I never felt at home in the real world. I didn't know how to connect with people there. I was afraid for all my life, right up until I knew it was ending. That was when I realized, as terrifying and painful as reality can be, it is also the only place where you can find true happiness. Because reality is real. Do you understand? Yes, I said. I think I do. Good, he said, giving me a wink. Don't make the same mistake I did. Don't hide in here forever. That's the
Well, we can wax philosophical on the matter all day long, and what
We could even wax philosophical on whether we're even in reality now.
Are you in the real world, as
Do we-
Cowboy Bebop would say?
Yeah, like Cowboy Bebop or The Matrix or Man Dreaming He's a Butterfly, that kind of thing. It's like, do we even know that we're here now? So, like, what really is reality? Reality is only really that which you believe it to be. As long as you think it's real, it may as well be for all intents and purposes. So, if you lived in a virtual world, is that really a bad thing as long as you get the same effects out of it? Like in James's description, is there any problem with a guy that's basically sitting around playing like a game of poker or something with some, or pool with friends that are all around the world? Sure, it's all like simulated, but as far as he's concerned, he may as well be there in person. Is it really a problem?
It can if you're so immersed in that world that you fail to take care of yourself, or you forget that you need that physical contact at times.
Yeah, see, that's my thing with it, is there really is the physical aspect of human beings. We really do need physical contact. People can go crazy to at least a certain degree if there is no physical contact. Virtual reality might be fun and all, but let me ask you, do we really connect as well with other people in this virtual world as we do when there's the 100% level of communication, including the physical?
I would say that's not 100%. It's actually easier to lie to someone when you're in person because there's more things that we take for granted, more cues that are easily faked. Like, it's harder to lie to someone on the internet, kind of thing, oddly enough.
Well, that's true, but I'm not just looking at that. I'm also looking at the whole spectrum, the mental health aspect for human beings, and
Yeah, well, think about, like, if we keep progressing our technology to the point where we literally can have all that tactile sensation, where you may as well be physically interacting with someone because it's hardwired into your brain and you actually receive the sensation as though you are touching them. Is that a bad thing at that point? Like, we're not there yet, but if we can get to that point, would that be bad?
that's a question we definitely would have to explore, and I think it's one of the things that I love about science fiction is it always takes on those concepts, and it looks at it.
Well, as long as the sad puppies keep at it.
Well, that's true. It's a definite shout out to the sad puppies, but you know what? I think we're going to wrap up early and call the show a day.
Sounds like we had good time with it here. I mean,
we usually do.
yeah.
So we'll go with the final thoughts, and Usagi, you first.
Boobies!
Always a good thing. Kat?
a banana dreaming I'm a shoelace.
Run that by me again.
No.
Okay, fair enough. James.
Yes, any discussion of Uranus stinks.
Ah. Ah.
Okay. As usual, we've got some good and amusing fun in. I want to thank everybody for listening, all three of you. Bye, Felicia, to that person who didn't like somebody's voice. And my final thoughts are, I'm all for Uranus if it looks good, and boobs are wonderful.
I love these deep discussions.
Yes.
Yes, so do I. Yeah.
They're very fulfilling in your hands.
Yes.
Yes. God,
Go ahead and say it. Just say it,
I
guys.
just keep thinking, Doggo. Fear is the possibility that you are facing death. Calm shepherds its certainty. I think of John Crichton's response. I love hanging with you, man.
All right. Well, beyond that, all I have to say is, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your weekend. We'll see you again in a couple of weeks, and take the red pill.